Hello friends, this is your homeboy Otz, or Otzdarva for short, and today we're gonna put on the lore master hat to get into the deepest lore of Dark Souls 3. And I'm not talking the sandworm is actually Solaire kind of lore, no, we're going much deeper than that today. But you actually knew that the sandworm was Solaire, right? Okay, we have a lot of work to do, so let's get onto it. So very early in our Dark Souls adventure, we come into this big ass room where we can beat up an old woman, break some furniture, and also set things on fire. This also happens to be the location of the Dancer of the Boreal Valley boss fight. And well, the Dancer is really an enigmatic character, we don't really know much about her, but I think I finally figured out her identity, guys, so hear me out. The Dancer armor states, "The mirage like Aurora Veil is said to be an article of the old gods, permitted only to direct descendants of the old royal family." But does this really answer the question of who she might be? We need to have a closer look. Like literally, we need to have a closer look at the character. Look at her face. The Dancer is a skeleton. Now let me remind you, what other character do we already know that is a part of the royalty and is also a skeleton? That's right, Nashandra from Dark Souls 2. Now some of you might say, but Otzdarva, Miyazaki completely ignored everything in Dark Souls 2, how could she be a part of this game? And let me stop you right there. Although you have a point, if that were to be true, then how do you explain this painting right here? Oh, sorry, wrong one. Yeah, this painting right here. That is in fact Nashandra, isn't it? There's a painting that we find in Erithil. And where does the Dancer originally come from? Check and mate. When it comes to lore discussion in this game, Corvians are often overlooked. And honestly, I don't understand why. Sure, they might seem like uninteresting enemies at first, but if you spend any amount of time looking at them, you will realize that when it comes to these strange enemies, there is more than meets the eye. For instance, all of them seem to drop shriving stones strangely often. In fact, this very item, the shriving stone, can be found very often next to these guys. So, what is the meaning behind it? And what are these storytellers telling? Why does it seem like these guys are in constant agony? If they are suffering for something, what exactly is it? To be fair, I myself had no idea what this could be all about until I went to New Game Plus Plus and came across this item. That's right, the Corvians were the first undead to infuse their weapons in Dark Souls 3. Only shortly after infusion did they realize that infusions in this game suck dick. And now they're trying to use the shriving stone to undo the infusions, but they don't have any blacksmiths. This might just be the most tragic backstory to any character in Dark Souls ever. Hornstein Smoke are widely regarded as the most memorable Dark Souls 1 boss fight. Well, we have a pretty good idea of what the fate of the Dragon Slayer might have been. Good old Smoke's fate seems a matter of much speculation. The description of his weapons refers to him as the last knight to remain in his post, guarding the ruined cathedral. But as a matter of fact, we cannot find Smoke in the ruined cathedral. Or can we?
Let's take Aldrich for one. A right and proper cleric. Only he developed a habit of devouring men.
We know that Saint Aldrich, like Smoke, used to eat people. So what are the chances of him being at the very same spot where Smoke was last seen? Could Aldrich be Smoke's new identity? Actually, I am not sure of this myself, but that would explain why Aldrich's coffin is so huge. I mean, Smoke was a big-boned guy after all. The Archdragon Peak is, in many ways, a very disappointing area. The entire place is crumbling and falling apart, the elevator doesn't work, security measures are next to non-existent. Who would put a torch next to this wooden structure? That is an accident waiting to happen. But the most troubling aspect of this entire place is the Ancient Wyvern boss fight. In a game where most boss fights have a lot of detail put into them, this just seems really uninspired. You just walk down this plank, and even the game itself prompts you to just do the plunging attack and finish the boss fight. It's quite disappointing. But what if I told you that you don't have to do this? If you look below this platform, you will realize that there's more planks going down to the left and you can drop onto them. All you have to do is just follow along. Perhaps we were never meant to defeat this ancient dragon, but instead, the game intended for us to become something greater, something far more ancient. A rock. This is better than the boss fight, to be honest.